Immigration in the United States is like a giant potluck dinner where everyone brings something to the table, but there's way too many casseroles. And some folks didn't exactly get an official invite. With over 47.8 million immigrants as of 2023, the US has earned the title of world champion for hosting international migrants. You could say that America is the Airbnb of the globe, except instead of quirky stays and yurts, we've got folks from every corner of the world bringing their cultures, languages, cuisines, and sometimes their bullshit. So today we dive into the stats and facts of US immigration with a dash of sarcasm to keep you interested. So we're breaking down this massive melting pot. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. A growing population. The U.S. foreign-born population hit a new record of 47.8 million people in 2023. That's an increase of 1.6 million from the previous year. Apparently the word is out. America is the place to be. Back in the 1970s, only 4.7% of the U.S. population was made up of immigrants. Fast forward to 2024, it's about 14.3%. It's like we got hit with an immigration growth spurt that hasn't slowed down since Congress changed the immigration laws in 1965. It's almost like people really want to move here. Imagine that. Where are they all coming from? Well, the number one source of U.S. immigration is Mexico. In 2022, about 10.6 million people born in Mexico were living in the U.S. And no, they didn't all sneak here under the cover of night. I know a lot of loud voices like to tell you that, but it's just politics, and that's what they do. Following Mexico, you've got India, China, and the Philippines. Essentially, if the U.S. had a guest book, it would have signatures from every corner of the world. From Europe to sub-Saharan Africa, it's like a United Nations meeting, except with more taco trucks and Bollywood movies. Believe it or not, almost 40% of Americans believe all Mexicans that have come here came here illegally. That's not even close. It's closer to 37%. How has this changed over time? Well, before 1966, U.S. immigration laws were like the ultimate gatekeeper, rolling out the red carpet for Europeans and slamming the door on just about everyone else. But once that changed, people from Asia and Latin America started showing up at our front door, luggage in hand. Since then, the immigration population has diversified faster than a college admission brochure. In the late 1800s, it was all Germans, Irish, and Italians. Today, Latin America and Asia are the main sources. With that, Mexico's dominance started to dip a little. I guess we all love some variety. Recent arrivals. In 2022, Mexico still held on to the top spot for recent arrivals, with India and China trailing not far behind. But wait, there's more. Venezuela, Cuba, Brazil, and even Canada, yes, those Canucks, have been sending people over too. This shift towards more Latin American immigrants started after the 2007-2009 Great Recession. This economic downturn flipped the script, and suddenly everyone was crossing the border in reverse. Yes, they started leaving the United States. Humans are like grazing animals. They go places they can survive, and if it gets hard to survive there, they're going to go someplace else if they could survive easier or have a better life. That's just human. That's just creatures. That's how we are. All of us, even in the United States, during the Great Depression, people left the South and they left the East Coast and they headed west looking for jobs. During the gold rush, everyone went to California from every corner of the world to get in on that gold. They're looking for a better life. During World War II and after, everyone in the South cleared out and went to California and Detroit for auto jobs. We're all just looking for a better life. And if the place you live ain't sustaining you or your lifestyle, probably going to move if you can. I mean, right now we have tons of retirees who can't afford to retire in the United States, so they move to places like Panama and Portugal, Costa Rica, and Mississippi. Legal or not? The big question. How many immigrants are in the U.S. legally? Well, around 77% of them are. The rest, about 11 million, are unauthorized. Basically, the folks who either overstayed their visas or snuck in. It's a bit like showing up to Chuck E. Cheese without any kids. You hope to blend in, but you know someone's going to notice you eventually and send you on out. Interestingly, the number of unauthorized immigrants has been creeping back up after years of decline. Yeah, they were declining, believe it or not. After the Great Recession, it jumped back up a little bit in 2010, but then slowly started working its way down again. But don't worry, they're not all hiding. Some have temporary legal protection like DACA or asylum applications. Unauthorized with protections. Around 3 million unauthorized immigrants are in a weird legal limbo here in the United States. They're allowed to live and work here, but they could technically get the boot at any time. Many of them are covered under TPS, or Temporary Protective Status. There's also another thing called DACA recipients. You know, those are the dreamers, those kids who were brought here without a choice, but have been waiting for Uncle Sam to decide their fate. It's like they're stuck in the world's longest game of legal limbo. The thing about dreamers is you never hear about the DACA or the dreamers until election time. I've noticed that over the years. All of a sudden it becomes a hot button topic. This last election, I haven't heard. I've heard immigration all over the place, but I haven't heard much about DACA recipients. In past years, that was like the main focus. Naturalization, to become American or not. Becoming a U.S. citizen is a big deal, and in 2022, nearly 1 million immigrants took the plunge. Some just loved the country so much they wanted to make it official, while others can't be bothered to fill out the paperwork. Reasons for not applying include everything from language barriers to the fact that, honestly, some people just aren't into it. Kind of like getting a gym membership. You know you should, but meh. There's another issue. A lot of them think it's a trap. They go down to the office, they start filling out paperwork. Next thing they know, they're herded out back to an idling bus waiting to start driving south. With all the different laws, political parties, and different ideologies, I'd be wondering what I'm getting into too if I went down to a government office. Where do the immigrants live? Most immigrants like to settle in states that are already pretty crowded. California, Texas, Florida, and New York host the largest immigrant populations. If you've ever been stuck in LA traffic, you could probably blame this statistic. About 63% of the immigrant population lives in just 20 metro areas, meaning New York, LA, and Miami are the go-to spots for immigrants coming to the United States. Because why live in a quiet small town when you can join the chaos of a major city and, most importantly, blend in? There is safety in numbers, sort of back to my herding animal analogy. Immigrants in the workforce. In 2022, over 30 million immigrants were in the workforce. That's about 18% of the entire U.S. labor force. While the number of unauthorized workers has remained stable, lawful immigrants make up the majority. Basically, they're holding down jobs, they're paying taxes, and they're contributing to the U.S. economy while somehow being the subject of endless debates on whether they belong here or not. You know, sometimes you don't understand. You always hear people go, well, they need to pay taxes, they're not paying taxes, da-da. Well, okay, they are, so now what? Well, they shouldn't be here anyway. You know, okay, you move the goalpost. And even though it's kind of a thing people say, it's very true. They're normally doing the jobs Americans won't. A lot of businesses have a lot of jobs that they can't get a, natural-born American to work. Education levels, some surprises. On average, immigrants tend to have lower levels of education compared to the US-born population. However, this varies dramatically depending on where they're from. For example, immigrants from South Asia are more likely to have a college degree than the average American. Turns out, not all immigrants are coming here to pick fruit and drive taxis. Some are highly educated professionals. You know, just another fun twist to the immigration story and propaganda. Language skills. If you've ever wondered how many immigrants speak English, the answer is about half. The rest either speak very little English or stick to their native tongue. Spanish tops the list of the most common languages spoke by immigrants. It's a multilingual wonderland, and honestly, how cool is it to have neighbors who can order takeout in 5 different languages? Myself, I could do it in 3. Spanish is the reigning champ among non-English languages spoken by immigrants in the US, with about 41% of immigrants bringing that vibrant rolling R language to the United States. Walk through any city in the United States and you'll probably overhear a conversation in Spanish. But it's not just Spanish. You got Chinese, Filipino, Vietnamese, French, Haitian Creole, and more. Every city is a verbal linguistic sample platter. The beauty of this, it turns every neighborhood into a cultural adventure. One minute, you're passing a bakery blasting mariachi music. The next, you're at a nail salon where Vietnamese phrases are flying back and forth. If you're lucky, you'll meet a neighbor who can order you dim sum in perfect Mandarin, or talk you through the nuances of Caribbean cuisine in French Creole. Sure, you're always going to have the occasional language barrier. Maybe you struggle to communicate with someone who hasn't yet mastered English. But when you think about it, It's just a small price to pay for the benefit of living in a country where you can learn how to insult someone in another language every day. And let's not forget, being surrounded by all these languages and cultures helps Americans too. We get exposed to different ways of thinking, speaking, and yes, eating. And if you ever want to pick up a new language, you've got a built-in teacher next door probably. It might even inspire you to brush up on your Basque. The future of immigration. As the U.S. continues to grapple with its immigration policies, one thing is for sure, people aren't going to stop coming, whether it's for better job opportunities, safety, or just the allure of the American dream. Which, let's be honest, it used to be about buying a house. Now you just want good Wi-Fi. Immigration is here to stay, and who knows, maybe one day you'll finally figure out how to make a complex system work for everyone. Until then, buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride. And every election year, it's going to get wilder. All right, this is a very complicated subject. I just broke it down in plain English for you to understand. There is a lot that can go into it, and I'm sure you could say, well, I should have said this, and I should have said this. Well, make your own video. This is the one I made. All right, everyone. If you like this video, you'll probably like one of the two being suggested right now. Everyone have a great day. Be nice to each other.